Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I want to do a little trailer breakdown of the game Crosswind. Their trailer dropped a couple of days ago and I thought it would be fun to actually go through the trailer and see what they can show us about their game. Now what I've done is I've cut out all of the CG parts because we're not interested in that. I am only interested in the gameplay parts. Now they also released a video of a boss fight and we're also gonna go through that. So if you just want to see the boss fight and the analysis of that, you can go check out the timestamps that I'll leave for you in the description. So without further ado, let's dive into this trailer. Now the first thing that they say is the year is 1700 and something. Okay, good to know. Another thing is the game is a survival game. It's a pirate survival game. One of the reasons I'm covering this, I am a massive pirate fan. Now, the first interesting thing we see here is a guy walking through a couple of biomes. So we'll get a couple of biomes and obviously our main character here is progressively getting better gear. Very standard fare. We do see some weather effects in this shot right here, which look pretty cool. Now, of course, the game is a survival game, so what are you gonna do? Build and craft. How are we gonna do that? It's a survival game, we're gonna smash a whole bunch of trees. Of course we are. Now, this is our first look at the UI. So let's quickly go over the UI and see what we can see. So in the top left, we see a health bar, top right minimap, bottom right corner Q to access our character panel. Then we have 8 shortcuts in the bottom of the screen, and in the bottom left, we got maybe some quick slots or something for food related stuff. Now, what I like about this UI is that it's very minimalistic. It's not very intrusive. So far what I've seen from the UI looks pretty good to me. Now, this shot doesn't tell us anything else, so we'll go to the next one. Here we see somebody building a foundation and then building a cool fort upon that foundation. Now, the vibes I'm getting from this game is Valheim in pirate mode, basically. You know, you're gonna build a fort, you're gonna go out on missions that are either generated by the game or you just generate yourself. You get as much supplies as you can, bring it back to your fort, build it up further, rinse and repeat. And as we do that, of course, you can bring friends along. I also think this game has PvP in it. How that works out though, we have no idea. The trailer doesn't really show us that. But it of course has combat. Well, what does that look like? Well, we got fire and steel, which of course means muskets and swords. We can see here in the shot we're fighting a dodo, then we're fighting an assassin, then we're fighting a wolf, and then we're fighting a musketeer and a warrior guy. Now, what do these shots actually tell us? Well, we saw those weather effects in the beginning of the trailer, and here we actually have this debuff called wet. And yeah, weather is going to have some sort of effect on us. What it does, we don't know, but it's pretty cool that we have some weather effects that actually influence our character. We also see a stamina bar right here next to our character, and we'll go talk about that a little bit later. Now, the next shot, the most interesting thing about this shot basically is we have some sort of magical enchantment around our sword. Is that something we can apply ourselves? Is that an environmental buff? We have no idea. We can see that our attack here is being blocked, yet our magical damage is going through. But we can also see that we lose the buff on our sword, telling me that it's probably more of a environmental one-time effect than an actual enchantment on our weapon. In the next shot, we fire at a wolf. Shot doesn't really tell us all that much, except that the wolf is immune to whatever damage we're doing to it. The next shot, we see our main character dodging a bullet from a musketeer, so we can dodge. I assume we can also dodge melee attacks, and we see that dodging actually costs stamina. Next shot, we see us fighting another, a higher level character most likely. We see a group of enemies, a warrior and a hunter, so melee and ranged. And we see us actually applying some burning damage along with what I assume is physical damage. And we see around our screen that we have some sort of debuff as well, maybe some poison applied to us. And yeah, that's all we can see here really. Now, it would be cool actually if you look at these guys, they're wearing like wooden armor. Wouldn't it be cool if this fire damage would then actually apply more damage because they're wearing wooden armor? If that is the case, I of course don't know. The shot doesn't tell us. We go to the next section, the epic bosses section. Now, they've released this 1-minute video that we're just gonna skip through. We're gonna sort of see how this fight turns out. So first up, our boss spawns, pretty cool. We douse our weapon here in fire. And then we lock on to the boss. Very sort of Elden Ringy Dark Souls-y, right? Okay, the boss starts a string of attacks, which our main character, blocks. Most likely just by holding right mouse button or something. It doesn't seem like we are like parrying or perfect parrying. It does seem like a system where we just hold block and we basically block everything that this guy is doing for now. We also see that we, in the bottom left here, that we get a buff called Perfecto. What that does, I don't know. Now, I would assume that a buff that is called Perfecto would signify a perfect parry, but I don't think that's actually the case here. I think we're just blocking here. We do a slash, we miss, but we see that slashing actually costs stamina. Another interesting to note, I guess, is that blocking actually does not cost stamina, which to me is actually pretty weird. Now, we jump back, we do a little bit of a back and forth. We dodge an attack, that does cost stamina, dodging. We launch an attack. Now, this attack, I wonder if this is a heavy attack or just the first attack in a light attack string, because he does this a big jumpy damage move. But we don't know. Like, this trailer doesn't show us if we have like heavy attacks or light attacks. We just don't know. We can see that the following attacks are being blocked by the boss, but that our fire damage does go through. So magical damage seems to always go through. And we can also see or notice that fire damage actually does not apply any sort of debuff or a damage over time. So I guess it's just a flat damage bonus. Now, what we can also see in this shot is that Mr. Hands here, our enemy, has defense points indicated by these shields. We have those as well. Now, when exactly you lose, you see this shattered shield and then these full health shields. How exactly that system works when you start losing shield, I don't know. I'm not really able to like figure it out. I haven't found any like consistent system in there, but I'm sure we'll learn more about that later as the game develops. All right, we block some more attacks. We do a little ranged attack. We go in again. This goes back and forth a couple of times. Now we see when we take damage, we have this nice minimalistic yet very clear damage feedback indicator on the side of our screens. This goes back and forth a couple of times. We see that friend Hans here only has 1 defense point left. We have that as well. And he then does his first big telegraphed attack, which is this ghost that comes out of him, telegraphing, hey, I'm gonna do something big. We don't manage to dodge that. I have no idea if you can block that. I would assume you cannot. I think this is something that you have to dodge. We are being sent back flying, and what we can see is that we don't actually take that much damage. If you look in the top left corner, I mean, this is a boss, does a big attack, and we only lose a slight chunk of health. Especially seeing that in the bottom, in our toolbar, we have bandages, potions, what it looks like. This seems kind of forgiving. Now, we are being sent back. He then does another telegraphed attack, again indicated by the ghost. Now he shoots. We dodge the shot. There we go. And actually, this is an interesting thing that happens. So we see here in our own defense points with the shields, we see that we actually are regaining shield. I think like this broken shield just stands for half a defense point basically, and now it turns full, like a full defense point. I guess you just regain those over time, perhaps when you are not taking any damage. Now, friend Hans here has actually half a point left, and what we'll do is we'll shoot, boom, and that will make him vulnerable, and now we can launch a long string of attacks upon him. Then he attacks us again, we block again, we get the buff again, perfecto. And now he goes into a second big telegraph attack, indicated by the ghost once again, and he launches a bunch of skeleton heads, and he seems to launch those at our position. So I assume we have to keep moving, and the heads also leave behind AoE damage spots, as it seems. And Hans goes into a recovery state, giving us again an opportunity to attack. We do just that, but he immediately goes into another big telegraphed attack. This time we are fast enough and we're dodging it, and it's a big whirlwind. Again, he goes into recovery frames, giving us a chance to do another string of attacks. And then the fight continues with just basic attacks that we block, and I think this is basically going to be the entire fight. Now, I kind of like this system. It doesn't seem too difficult. You know, learn the patterns, don't stand in the fire, dodge big telegraphed attacks, make sure you dodge his normal melee attacks, and that's about it. Now, let's go back to the trailer. What does it promise us? Well, you can play it solo or you can play it with friends. How many friends? No idea. I see 2 characters here. Does that mean we can play it in duos? Does it mean with 3 people, 4 people? We just don't know. Another thing that the game shows us is this, what I guess is an interactive map. We basically zoom out from our boat and we see this cool constellations around us. What I assume is you can just select a constellation, you select Tortuga, and then you go to that area of the map. That is what I think that this is. And then the trailer ends. Well, the trailer doesn't end, but my cut down of the trailer ends here with the words "Conquer the Seas." Now, the trailer only shows CG stuff, and that's not what we're here for. We're here for actual gameplay stuff, and there isn't really any actual gameplay of conquering the seas. Now, there is an image on Steam that I'm going to go to right now. All right, so here we are in Steam, and this is an image that I wanted to show you concerning the whole conquer the seas thing. We see our character behind the wheel of a ship. The ship is empty. There's no NPCs, no AIs, no nothing, no co-op people running around. And we can see that we can select a bunch of ammo in the bottom left corner. We see a health bar in the bottom of the screen. We see that we can press C to repair, R to make our ship faster, and then adjust the speed of our ship with W and S. So I don't think this is sort of a Sea of Thieves thing where you're running around on your ship doing all kinds of stuff. I think you're just locked in behind your wheel and you're sort of steering the boat, and that's it. But of course, we can't be sure of that. This image is really all we have. Now, the last thing I want to show you doesn't really have anything to do with the trailer or whatever, is the roadmap. So we're gonna go over to the roadmap right here. Now, they say that currently in playtesting, which you can subscribe for if you want to on Steam, they have a first story arc of 30 to 40 hours of swashbuckling adventure. That is a big chunk of game. So I think this is actually pretty far a ways off still. They promised 3 biomes, survival gameplay, building and crafting, 3 ships, 1 merchant ship, some ground and naval combat, and then they talk about the Tortuga social hub. And I think their whole MMO part of this game is that there's going to be a hub where there's a bunch of people around, but what I'm suspecting is that there's not actually going to be like hundreds of people on this server. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. Oh my god, suddenly this trailer just starts playing. Sorry. So we'll have to wait and see. Then they end with in development. You see some other things, you know, there's no timeline, there's no deadlines. So this stuff could take years. Star Citizen, we just don't know. So yeah, that's all the information that I wanted to show you about this game, Crosswind. I'm excited, but I am cautiously excited, and so should you be. Don't be bamboozled by the CG in trailers. If we just look at the gameplay, we saw 4 enemy types, we saw a boss, and we saw some building. So if there's any other information that's gonna come out about this game that I think is relevant to share, you will see it on this channel. Otherwise, thank you for sticking around till the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye.